Have you ever wondered why?
When?
How much?
What if?
Well, you're in luck, because you're listening to the Hypotheticats.
3 best buds.
On a mission.
To ask all the questions?
And get all the answers.
I was born with both guns blazing, and I do think I'm amazing. You got the dignity to feel a little about yourself. I don't care what your preacher says. I got my own vicious ways. Only got one commandment and it goes, I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the Hypotheticast. My name is Emily.
My name is Mike.
My name is David.
And my name is Sean.
Hey.
Hello.
We have a fourth.
I just showed up. I hope you don't mind.
All are welcome on the Hypotheticast.
Sean is a frequent contributor.
Thank
so
you.
you've heard his name many times and his thoughts many times because he's given us lots of question ideas. I met him doing a play with him a couple summers ago.
Right.
He's an actor and an improviser.
That's how I met him, because we did improv. We did a show. We did our Wes Anderson theme
That's
show.
Oh,
right.
yes, that was a fun
Oh,
show.
Fucking a
I
few
missed
years
that.
ago now.
Yeah.
And I've never met Sean before. in my
Yeah,
life.
David doesn't know what's
Yeah.
going
That was
on.
almost true,
No,
to be fair.
just once, actually, in an audience of a Fringe show. And that's it.
Okay.
No, I recognized your voice before I was, it's David. I know
Oh,
that
that's funny.
voice. I've heard that in my ears.
Usually people don't recognize me, but then I get really close to them and I just talk intimately into their ear. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know you.
Oh,
Right,
seems
right.
familiar.
You're that sexy one from the Hypothetical.
Yeah, that's what David is. He's the
Yeah.
sexy one.
Somebody has to
That
be the
sexy
one.
voice. Right.
Yeah.
Emily's the gross one, Mike's the weird one, and I'm the sexy one.
Yeah, that checks out.
People have said it.
Just now.
Sean, you are the one who suggested our theme for today. So do you want to
Yeah.
say what it is?
The theme for today is time.
Why'd you pick it?
We'll get into this a little later, but I've actually been reading a book with a whole bunch of time travel fiction, and I'm really fascinated by the whole idea and whether it even exists.
Yeah.
And it struck me as, a really vibrant topic.
Yes, it is a super fascinating topic. I specifically remember that when I got really into it was when I very begrudgingly took this physics class my senior year of college because I had to take a science credit and I was terrified, but it was a writing emphasis physics class, so it was more so we got to read the play Copenhagen
Sure.
and Brian Greene's Elegant Universe and Einstein's Dreams.
That sounds like a cool class.
It was a cool
It's a good way to
class.
teach physics. I
It
think.
was so great. I was like, I went from like, I hate this to like being obsessed with like all of those topics, and then went on to read like just on my own stuff like that. I also went from being like one of the cool kids in class that was like, ugh, physics, this is gonna suck, and like complaining with all the other cool kids, to then my cover was completely blown. This sounds like such a humble brag, but you know what? I don't care. I'm proud of it. After the first test, the professor was like, in front of everybody, was like, you got the highest score. You did so great. You love this stuff. And I was like,
Wow.
I was like proud because I'm a nerd and I love approval from teachers. But also like all of those other kids in the class were like,
Oh, no.
excuse me. One girl afterwards was like, you don't get to complain to me anymore.
On the outs.
Okay.
You wrecked the curve.
I did.
Revoked.
No longer cool, but into time and stuff.
Yeah.
I do think teaching a class with like reading fiction about physics, it definitely points out that like it's all theoretical. Like, I mean, we're
Yes.
like, we look at it as like math as being like a hard science where it's like, oh, we can figure out this equation and then we'll understand exactly how this works. But
Yeah.
the more you read about it, scientists are just kind of making their best guess because that's what science is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, and time and all these things we take for granted are not actually as well defined as we
Right.
think they are. And so reading like what that actually is like, I think would be a much better approach than just like E equals MC
Yeah.
squared, numbers. That's when my robot professor taught me physics. It was very
Numbers,
different.
And he didn't actually give any specific numbers. He just said the word numbers.
numbers, physics. It was not an edifying class.
David, do you like time?
I don't know. I was thinking about when I was a little guy, and I have very, very vivid memories of wanting to go to usually it was the Science Museum because that was the place we got to go to on the weekend if we were good, and the place I didn't get to go to on the weekend if I was bad. And I remember there was a time when I was like, okay, we're leaving at 4 and we're going to go. And I sat in a chair in the kitchen looking at the clock on the wall, and it was like 10 minutes, but it felt forever. But I couldn't like just go do something else. I was like, I can't wait until 4 o'clock. And that 10 minutes just took so much longer than 10 minutes took when I was like playing a video game on the computer.
Yeah.
That was the moment when I realized that time was relative to my experience, or my experience of time is relative to actual time. It's weird. I don't know. So I remember that kind of dawning on little Science Museum David, but I was angry about it, not like in awe about it.
I like that.
Well, let's get into some would you rathers. Yeah. I will explain what would you rathers are for the listeners that clearly do not know what they are, because it's a game we made up. So you might not have ever heard of it. It's where we choose between 2 distinct options. And Sean has brought some would you rathers for us
I have.
this week.
These were wonderful. Thank you, everyone who gave them. There were some that were so philosophically thorny, they deserve their own episode, and they were just too big. But we got a bunch of really wonderful ones. Let's start out with, would you rather be able to go back 5 minutes as many times as you want from the present time only, or go back to any time in your own life once?
Oof.
Who's that question from?
Oh, I'm sorry. That is from Audrey Slater.
That's tough. I feel like I mainly see the negative side to both of them, but
That's good to think about.
I think I'm leaning towards the 5 minutes multiple times. And the thing is, it's because I don't yet have a thing that I could use the one time on. And I feel like I would always be worried that a better use for that would be coming up. You know what I mean? Like some people I'm sure have, some people probably heard that and immediately something popped into their head.
Sure.
Like
That time I saw Kenny Chesney. You know, like I just want to get back.
Right.
that
Just
is
go back to
exactly
you want to stop yourself
it.
from seeing Kenny, or you just want to see him
want to see him
again?
again.
Because you could just go see him at a concert again.
No, I just want to. No, that one time was
It
so
was a
good.
special
I can't
time.
top that. That was peak Kenny. It's all downhill from
Peak
here.
Kenny.
Yep, that's a great example. Another one would be like a catastrophic car accident or something. You know, like I don't have an obvious answer to that one, and I feel like the pressure of like not picking the wrong one, I would just like be on my deathbed, which I guess maybe that would be a good time to use it.
Oh, actually,
Go back to your
Go back to the
deathbed.
beginning.
No,
and-
to
right?
find
Do it
it,
all
to
over
like,
again.
because when you're actually, you like know you're about to die, then you're like, all right, you probably have like a list of like top moments to consider going back to.
Oh,
and
right.
then
If
you
you
could
know
just
you
pick
have this
one.
power.
Yeah.
You
if
don't
know
make
have this
top
power.
moments lists when you are dying.
It's also
what were my
a-
favorite
Just like
moments.
clickbait articles of your life.
Only Emily kids will get this one.
It's a question of like with the type of time travel. Like if you're just in your own body at that time, like if I went to
Yeah.
my toddler times and I
Oh,
was just in my
sure.
toddler body,
Right.
or if it was adult me like running around in the bushes, like peeping on my
That's a good
past self.
question. Do you want to?
Right. You know, I
Say what it
interpreted
is.
this to mean that you in yourself are reversing time to them.
Yeah.
Would be
So
your consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what you know, but you're jumping, if you're going back to when you were 15, you're 15 again, and you're starting over from there.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm into that.
Yeah, I'd do the 5 minutes, I think. Because that could be quick fixes
Yeah.
to little things. I think it would be hard to not get addicted to it, but I think that would be less dangerous overall.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I feel the same way, but for the opposite reason. I feel like I have so many occasions that I feel like, oh yeah,
You wanna
no, I
go
want to go back and fix that. Like I have those regrets, but I would be afraid of picking the wrong one. And I'd be afraid of like butterfly affecting.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
while I have regrets, my life is pretty okay. Like I'm in a happy marriage. I'm financially secure. Things are good. And I would be afraid that in going back and trying to fix
Right.
that one thing, it's going to send me careering off in some other direction entirely.
You're
that's-
suddenly like wasting away in an alleyway.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sad violin music is playing.
Exactly. All of a sudden, I'm Ashton Kutcher, and
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
That's how the prequel to the butterfly effect was. Somebody was happy and then they made a choice and they became
Right.
Ashton Kutcher.
What are your answers?
I want the 5 minute one as well. I think I would be in the same boat as Emily. I would be too worried that I didn't maximize my one go back.
Yeah.
And I have plenty of things where I'm like, oh, why did why did I do that for 5 minutes? Or why did I say that thing a minute ago?
Why did I eat that?
Yeah, why did I eat that? Like, that was bad. I wonder if I could use it to like anti-click myself, like the movie with Adam Sandler where he can fast forward through everything and like spend 5 minutes mindlessly scrolling through social media and then be like, wait, nah. I know that stuff now. It was worthless. I'm going to go back 5 minutes and do a different thing.
Yeah. If I've learned anything from like Back to the Future Part 2, it's that you never like, even if you think you can fix stuff, like it doesn't usually get fixed the way you want it to. And because you'd never be able to go back to that again, like you just get the one try. I think, and especially if you mastered your 5 minute back in time skill, like you could prevent future things that are horrible. Like if you do get an accident, you can fix that. But
take a different road.
Yeah. So that seems more useful to me.
You'd be great on game shows.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh my.
know?
You could. Yeah. You could
answer
literally
that
make.
wrong. Boop.
Also, there's a game called Life is Strange where somebody gets a power that's very similar to going back 5 minutes, and she becomes a master social manipulator because she can just say something.
A video
and then
game?
if somebody, it is a video game.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it's a video game. She can be like, "Oh, so you like rockets, huh?" And her friend will be like, "I hate rockets," and she'll just be like, "Zrup. So you like tigers, huh?" And her friend will be like, "Yeah, I love tigers." And so she just like can become best friends with whoever she wants because she can know exactly what that person's going to want to hear at any given moment. And you could do that. You could Dale Carnegie the world.
Could. I feel like you'd have to be careful not to let it take over your life, though.
Sure.
That would be scary.
At some point, you have to just let things go.
The thing about Life is Strange, though, that I think is on theme with this is sometimes there is no good outcome. Like
That's
you're going to screw
interesting.
things up one way or you're going to screw them up the other. You know, you can't always grass is greener your way out of this.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes the grass is dead everywhere. And there's just
Yeah.
mud.
Okay, so our next would you rather question, I'll switch it up so they're not all time travel in a row. Joshua Swans asks, would you rather always be 5 minutes late or 45 minutes early?
Honestly, 5 minutes late. That's not that big of a deal.
Right.
It can be bad for some events where they shut doors at, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Like you gotta be there by 7. And I assume I can't hack the question by setting my clocks 10 minutes ahead or by saying the event actually starts at 6:30. Like unless I convinced everyone around me to lie about when things started.
Everyone will always start events at different times just for you.
I'm gonna say 5 minutes, but that's because that is my reality. But here's the thing, I don't say. I know, and that's a problem. Like that, the fact that I pick that is why this is continually a problem for me. But I'll explain. But like when I'm going to a show at 7, I'm not like, oh, I have to be there at 7. I say I have to be there at 6:45, and then I show up at 6:50.
Right.
Usually, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, I guess I didn't interpret that to mean like you will be 5 minutes late for every hard fast thing, but maybe that's just my personal interpretation of this as someone
nicer.
who
Sure.
tends
Yeah.
to be 5 minutes late to a lot of my life. But here's
Late to your own
why
life.
I think I do it. No, I know why I do it. And it's why I really don't want to choose 45 minutes early. I am very, like, I love feeling like I am in control of my time very much. And so waiting is my least favorite. I hate waiting. I hate when I show up to something early and I have nothing to do. And I know, I understand that in our modern world, I always have like my phone to scroll through, but that's not the same thing to me. That's not like productive time. So when I'm at my house and it's like time to go, the last few minutes are full of like, oh, and I have to do this and I have to do this. And is there anything else I need to grab? And like, oh, I could just do this quick. And like, it's like all of that, me trying to pack things in. And then I suddenly look at my clock and I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm running late. And it's also very selfish and unfair of me because what I'm basically saying is like when I'm meeting a friend somewhere, I hate being the first one there. And that's true. I do. But that's not fair because someone has to be the first one there. But I have improved over time. I've gotten better at communicating and I've gotten better.
Emily's just taking us through her journey.
Right?
I've gotten better at managing my own brain like that, like where I will like sort of trick myself a little bit and be like, I really have to leave at this time, knowing that technically if I left a few minutes after that, it wouldn't be detrimental, but I'll like come up with the case for it.
It's interesting that you mentioned like that you do that because you feel more in control of your own time. Because I would actually definitely pick 45 minutes early. I am frequently that early to stuff because I like to. Like it helps me mentally to get there early and be like, okay, I know where stuff is. Like I know what I'm doing. Like whatever situation it is, I can get the best seats at the movie. I can, and if I'm there early, I can just go for a walk around the block or something. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, because if I'm running up against like getting somewhere on time, like I'm not going to be doing productive stuff anyway. To me, like it's not like that's the hour before I'm going somewhere. I'm not going to get a lot of other stuff done. But so I'm like, well, I'll just leave now and I'll get there early, and then I can just read a book or, well, I mean, realistically read my phone. Parties and stuff, like I've had to learn, like I would get there and I would be the only one there because people always show up late to parties, and I would be like, I don't like this. I'm just like watching them set up. So then I learned to just sit in my car until it was a little bit after the start time. But yeah, concerts too were tough because I didn't realize concerts usually start like an hour after the listed start time. Yeah. And I would show up and be like, no one's here.
Yeah.
That would be early because I can always find something. Maybe I'll meet a new friend.
That's what I was thinking. I would take the early one as well because I think maybe you see a person that's like also sitting there and they're alone and you're like, hey, buds. Or like if you're there early for a fun event where famous people are, that's when you see the famous people like coming up and just like doing makeup or like getting ready, tuning their guitar, like what, I don't know what the event is. I'm thinking of all sorts of things, preparing their lecture. And you can be like, hey, what's up? Kenny Chesney.
Wow.
Hey, it's me. Remember me, Dave?
Real fixation.
I've seen your concert twice.
I've seen you twice, but
the same time.
And I agree with Mike. I think that actually is helpful to me psychologically to be at a place and say, I'm here. Things are here. I'm going to read a book or I'm going to listen to something. It'll be fine. I also do that frequently because I need to overestimate how long it takes to bike a place, usually because it's very unpredictable.
Right.
And then I need some time to cool off and not be a gross sweaty boy. So it helps to have a little buffer. So I do that anyway. So I pick early.
See, I was thinking early because I'm a big fan of on time, but then you mentioned the party thing, and that's I am awkward. So
bring back some bad memories.
Yeah. Well, I totally was the one, who would, be the first one to show up for the college party. Like, hey, host that I don't know that well.
You're trying to put chips in a bowl, huh?
Yeah, that is our common frame of reference right now. Cool, what's in this dip? Great. So in the balance, hard as it is, I might have to tilt for the 5 minutes late. I mean, it is just 5 minutes, and I'm going to feel bad every time, but not as bad as I feel for that poor host. Yeah. I'm going to make this one a two-parter, combining two different questions. First, we had from Jason Jacobson, would you rather time travel forward or backward? And from Pedro Juan Fonseca, would you rather see a major historical event when you do that or a day in the average person's life?
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Interesting.
So if I traveled back in time, I could either see, when Abraham Lincoln got killed, or I could just see a day in the life of Johnathan Taylor Thomas. That's a regular person's name.
Yes. Yeah.
Not JTT from now, but just like a guy named Johnathan.
That is
Taylor
a very
Thomas.
common. I bet you there's been a lot of JTTs.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if I go into the future, I get to see a major historical event, which is something.
You can guess at future historical events. I want to see when the Eiffel Tower launched into space.
Right.
So we're basically we're making the first choice we make is if we want to go backwards or forwards.
Yeah.
Second choice, do we want random nondescript or iconic historical or like big event?
I would like to go into the future and see a regular person. I want to see future JTT and see what they're up to. It's a good way to know what life is actually like sociologically, because I could go to the discovery of an alien race that's been inside the moon the whole time, and they burst out and they're like, "Hey, it's us."
It was an egg.
I could do that, but that wouldn't really tell me like a lot about the technological advances that we had made or how people were different, like how actually people behave to each other. And I'm more interested in that sort of stuff, so I would do that.
That's a good answer. For the fact that it would give us some information about humanity in the future, it's probably more practical as opposed to seeing some, I don't know. I don't think I'm particularly good at interpreting like historical events. Like I love history. I love learning about it, but I'm always like when I'm reading a nonfiction history book, I'm always like so engaged in the parts that talks about like the daily life stuff, like what people did, what things looked like. Those little things I feel like inform my understanding of it so much more than like this battle or like, you know, this big weird thing that happened. I think I'm going to go with that too, unless I can think of a historic event that I just really, really have to be to. I mean, obviously I would love to go to a Beatles concert and hang out with Paul McCartney, but that's not really a real historical event that happened.
No, that's
so
something you make up.
I would have to really push for that.
When we talked about this before, I said I was curious about the future, and I still am, but I also think it would be really cool to see like a real ancient civilization, like the ones that have really been lost to the historical record.
Right.
Because there's a number of those that we know very little about. And I think to see like what the daily life of that was like would be very interesting. Because I think we imagine history as this kind of like linear, like we've always been getting more technologically advanced.
What if you go back and the cavemen are just sending each other faxes?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not so much that, but just to see like, what did society look like? You know, like what did people walking on the street do when they didn't have cars and even like houses set up, like big cities even weren't a thing, you know?
Right.
So I would be very curious just to see one of those and be like, as long as I didn't stand out as being a weirdo.
What if it was
I just need to make sure. We'll assume that
dress for that?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just I'm imagining being real dirty, but that to me is offensive. Just assume that they're going to be dirty in the past.
And we have some pretty good information.
We have some hard evidence.
You know,
that cleanliness was not a big priority until fairly recently.
I'll just be really dirty.
They may not have been constantly covered in mud.
I don't think it's that
But
bad.
if you just go back naked and roll around, you'll fit in most places.
Great, yeah. Actually, that's the reason I want to go back is because I'm sure they weren't all naked and
They were
rolling
all
around.
naked.
What were they
and
wearing?
I don't
rolling
know.
around.
I just feel like that might be kind of boring. Like, what if you get there and you're like,
But they're still people. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
That's
speak
fair.
the language.
That's fair.
If
you could
we
just-
can assume that I could communicate, that would be super interesting.
Oh, wow.
I guess that's true.
But,
But
like-
if you are able to get up close and really observe their interactions, that could still be really interesting.
There's just so much we don't know about a lot of that, and we've just assumed.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back to an ancient civilization.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I want to travel to the future, even though that scares me. I'm afraid, not to get too into it, but like 3 years ago, I think I would have been much more optimistic about this choice. And I'm feeling pessimistic about humanity and where it's all headed. So I would love to see like what are the exciting technological advances 500 years from now, 1,000 years from now. But I'm afraid I'm going to show up and it's going to be a crater.
Yeah.
And I will have wasted my big trip to
Or
see
like
a really depressing crater.
90% of humanity is enslaved, like underground.
Yeah.
Because then, like, what do you do with that when you get back?
Right.
Do
Are
your
depressed?
best.
Yeah, just
Right.
like you always do. Just put one foot in front of the other.
There is the other part of me. I'm a huge prehistoric stuff and dinosaur fan. So I know this question was kind of human scaled, but there is a part of me that would kind of love to go back and watch the, like KT extinction as it happens, the big asteroid and all of that. That would fascinate me.
But wouldn't you die?
He'd have a safety bubble.
Oh,
That's
Yeah,
good.
safety
Yeah. I mean,
bubble.
I'd only stay long enough to,
Right.
oh, there it comes. Look, there's some dinosaurs going home.
Yeah.
Good luck, guys.
Or you could wait till your deathbed and then be like, that's how I want to go.
yeah.
It's like, I want to be right under the asteroid when it comes. That would be an
Put me
epic way to
right
go.
there.
Trampled by T-Rex. What a way to go.
Hi, everybody.
We're back.
It's time. It's time for the meat. The meat is a segment in which we delve into a topic that's a little bit juicier, a little bit heavier, and we can expound on our thoughts a little bit more. I'm in charge of the meat. I'm the meat handler. And I'm just give me a second, guys.
Just gonna vamp for a while.
I'm getting there. Okay, so here's my question. Everybody has some issues with time. Something that is frustrating about it is, as mysterious and complicated as it is, we really don't have a lot of control over it as it stands right now. So I'm wondering, what is a thing about time that is very frustrating to you that you would change if you could? And we don't have to be scientific about it,
May I?
if you must.
Please.
I can't.
No, I mean, I can't either,
Just
which is
gonna
why
go
I
ahead
said
and
that.
throw that out there.
So yeah, that's my question.
My big frustration and complaint about time is that the day is 24 hours long because I have a long circadian rhythm, which means my body wants to be up more like 20, or not be up, but wants to go on a 25 or 26 hour cycle. Yeah. So I'm perpetually up late and I'm constantly tired in the morning. So my solution to this, how I would love to see it work, is for time to be a fungible quantity, like something that you could buy or sell, because I would be willing to spend my money to gain that couple extra hours a day. Because I recognize that not everyone is like me. Some people have short circadian rhythms. They're down in bed at 9 o'clock and up at 6 and loving life. So, if those people want to sell me those hours that they don't really need, great. That would be fantastic. They can have their 22-hour day. I can have my 26-hour day.
Oh, I love it.
It has value to me. I would spend the money.
Forget cryptocurrency.
Right?
Chronocurrency.
I love it.
Oh, especially because it could just be lending. Like, I love the idea. It's like, I have too much. You have too little. Here, just take it.
Get a time loan. That would be great. Like, I need this time in college. I'm not going to need it in retirement. I'll just pay this off.
But what if you stayed up too late playing Mega Man X and then the banker was like, your time credit is not good.
You know what? I
you
totally
don't use
would
the
too.
time for a good thing. No. So like you have bad time
That's
credit.
a really good point, because I definitely did max out a credit card in college, and I would absolutely max out my time card.
Yeah, see, I don't.
Because then the possibilities would feel so endless.
Yeah, you could just keep buying time over and over and over until oh no.
That raises a really good point for me though, because I feel like time would become classist.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't thought about. Like, the rich people are going to have all the time in the world.
And in a way, kind of already is, but it would just go further.
The 1% is going to have like 50% of all the time there is.
If not a lot more,
No. I've just created a time-based dystopia.
You did it. Oh, no.
This is the problem with thought experiments. They always become dystopias because rich people will always take the thing.
Yeah.
If it's a thing you can get by like wealth.
And most things are.
I like that answer. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I love music. And I like listening to music when I walk around, when I look at things in the world, when I experience even other events that I've paid for. Like, if I go to an art museum, I like to make a playlist for the art museum and like walk through it as I listen to certain music, something like that. It's very important to the way I experience the world. What I have always wished, and what hardly ever happens, is that a song in my head lines up exactly with the duration of a specific experience. Like, there was this one moment in my life where I was listening to a Radical Face song and walking by the train tracks in Northeast, and a train actually came by, and the train like ended as the song ended, and then there was silence after the song and the train.
So
and I was
satisfying.
like, this is so cool. It lined up perfectly, and it was so romantic. And I wish that I could make that happen. Like, I could stretch out or compress experiences to line up perfectly with the soundtrack that I've chosen for my life.
Oh, your life would be so cinematic.
I know.
Yeah.
I would basically be an editor, but for my life, which would be amazing.
So do you want to have the ability to do that like in a moment, or do you want it to be done for you somehow?
Ooh, I do like the idea of someone doing it for me. But
So
I feel like I would have creative differences sometimes. Like, I don't know, I would have extended that by a couple seconds, or like let that linger just a little bit longer. But I think doing it for me would make me feel more immersed in the moment. But I think doing it for myself would probably make me happier.
You could somehow just like in your mind be like, oh, this song matches this moment really well. I'm going to manipulate
the time of my experience of that moment, whatever it might be. What if it's how bored I am with the art piece I'm looking at, then like that's perfect. If I'm listening to a song and it has 3 minutes left, I'm gonna like looking at this art piece for 3 more minutes, and then it's gonna be over and I'm gonna leave to the next thing. Something like that.
It feels like something you almost could do with enough like conscious effort. Like with a certain amount of planning, you can figure out, okay, my walk to the bus takes 15 minutes. I'm gonna start with Mr. Blue Sky and then this other thing and then this third, and that is going to get me right to the bus stop.
That sounds awesome.
Right?
Making a by the second playlist for every morning, and like, I need to leave at 3:57:23 in order to arrive at exactly this time. I mean, that feels like something someone who is incredibly compulsive actually does in the world, but like not for fun.
Right. Yeah. That's
which is a little
less
sad.
fun. Yeah.
Hey guys, what if time was like the weather? Because I was thinking about the fact that I like I think a cool superpower would be to stop time, but that's not exactly answering this question. It's like, I want to stop time and pull pranks. But then I was like, well, how could we have a time phenomena that wouldn't just be like one person is a super powered human with the ability to stop time? Like Sean mentioned in the intro that like the existence of time is even in question. Like the way it functions, people go into space and come back and they're like a few seconds younger than us, which isn't really, no, it's not that big a deal. But like just the fact that time is influenced by other factors.
The fact that it is stretchy and fabric and not solid.
So I was thinking about what if it was like the weather and that it changed in different areas and there were like time storms. And say like a rainstorm would mean that like there's like a lot of time, so it would be like time maybe passes quicker for you. And then a time drought would be like it's slower and people would like travel to live in different areas of the world based on like
everybody wants to live in the time
How
desert.
would this help you specifically with something you don't like?
That's a good question.
Okay.
It would give us a different perspective on the way that time works. Because right now, the differences that time doesn't function that differently for people because we don't travel near the speed of light or anything like that. But I think if time did affect us in much different ways, it would just be more interesting. I don't know. I mean, if I was really just going to pick a problem with time, it would be like, I want to be better organized, but that just doesn't, I don't want to talk about that. It's too close to home. So time storms it is. Look out for those time tornadoes. So I think it'd be cool to see what that would even look like.
Would you live in a specific place? Like, would you move to New Orleans where there are lots of time hurricanes, or like move to like
stay in the temperate zone?
Yeah.
Like we're assuming that time weather matches regular weather, which
I
is, I guess,
assume it's
fair.
exactly like it just lines up with it. There's also a hurricane, but that means time moves really fast.
I mean, probably people would want to live where weather's the most stable, so you wouldn't have to worry about that.
I feel like people would flock to the deserts and places
Possibly,
where like never
There's
rains,
no
weather
weather,
storms.
right?
Yeah.
But you could also organize your life around it. And
That's
like
true.
you could start to find the like you know, like, well, I'm gonna wait to do this stuff because I know it's gonna storm tomorrow or whatever.
I just realized something.
What?
You know how sometimes you have been inside for a long time and you don't realize that it's rained?
Yeah.
You would be late to things because you'd be like, I'm just sitting here reading my book in the basement, like whatever. And then it's tomorrow because it was raining outside the whole time and you were like, gotta go to work. Oh no, it's Thursday.
Like, crazy.
That would suck.
You'd have to check the time report.
You'd have to be a lot more
Yeah.
aware of of Google Time. find out what the forecast is.
You know what's exciting and scary about this to me is the way I feel like it would put us back into, in a sense, pioneer times when like you'd leave somebody's house and you're visiting relatives in Florida. By the time you get back to Florida, 5 generations might have passed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You know?
You don't know,
like this could be the last time I see you because you could live out your entire life in my next week.
Oh my God.
But I'm going back to South Dakota and I'm just going to be there for a while.
Which is scary. But I mean, I feel like it would maybe make people value those, physically proximate relationships more.
So obviously my problem is with being on time to things. But another aspect of that, it's the transportation part. I do not enjoy driving. Never have, never will. For many reasons, it gives me anxiety. I think it's boring. I think it's unsafe. I don't love transportation. I guess like when I've been in larger cities and been on like the tube in London or the subway, I'm like, this is kind of nice. Like I wish that we had something better like that here. But ultimately, I want a way to make the distance I'm traveling, I want time when I'm trying to get from point A to point B to be shorter, to quicken.
Sure.
So I don't know if that would just be something as simple as like, I could like put something on like my car or just on my person that would mean that the faster I'm traveling, the faster time passes as well.
Sure.
That might be just like the simplest solution, but I don't know. You guys are creative. If you can think of something else that would like be a good way to do that.
It's like super relativity. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
relativity works
exactly.
way, way better.
Right. Yeah. Just like more sensitive.
Yeah.
Because I like taking a walk doesn't need to go fast to me. Although, like flying in a plane would then go super, super fast. I actually prefer flying to driving, but I still, I wouldn't mind if it only took like 10 minutes.
What if when you got in
New
your
York?
car, it transformed into a plane? and then you were flying instead.
Wait, hear me out. What if you had someone else that did the driving for you, and then you wouldn't have to drive or
Honestly,
think about it?
That is what I would like. So if my answer to this question can just be a paid for life chauffeur,
Yeah. Named Father
Great.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, there we go. Tying it back into the theme because he's dressed as Father Time.
That would be great because then I could accomplish stuff. Because that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing about why like having a nice public transportation system would be nice because then you could actually accomplish things during that time, and then it wouldn't feel like lost time to transportation.
Yeah.
But I think no matter how comfy that is, I'm still gonna want to just be in a place already. I'm still just going to want to be like, well, I would rather be spending this time in my home or at the place that I'm going.
That is one thing I really do miss about New York is, subway time was useful time.
Yes,
I
yes.
could memorize the script on the subway. I cannot memorize the script while I'm driving
Nope.
safely.
Yep,
Yeah, you
exactly.
shouldn't. Welcome back, everyone. Hi. It's
Hi.
me,
Where did we
David.
go?
I don't know. Emily went to the bathroom.
Oh, secrets revealed.
airing the
Yikes.
dirty laundry. This segment is called Would You Blanket? And it's a game we play where we are in search of a perfect equilibrium. The subject this week is Sean, our guest.
I can't wait.
And the question I have for you, Sean,
Yeah.
is would you risk it for the biscuit? No.
That's a good one.
Right?
Two things. One, your life on Earth currently has
Okay.
become terrible.
Oh,
For some unspecified
Okay,
reason, you
okay.
can decide what it is. If you want to fill out that fiction, that's up to you.
Sure,
But you
okay.
are miserable.
Okay.
And two, you have just inherited a time machine.
Okay.
One day, you decide, you're going to push the button.
Right.
You're just going to do it.
Yeah, I'm miserable. Why wouldn't I?
You are transported back to 66-ish million years ago.
oh, geez.
Whoa.
6 million.
And there are some dinos
Yeah.
running around.
So far, so
There's
good.
There's some fun ones.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
some scary ones.
Sure.
There's no people that you can see.
Okay.
And a bunch of rules pop up. It's like an Apple Watch. So you've got a little heads up display that
that's
tells
great.
you, oh, thank you for using this time machine. Here's a little tutorial to get you started.
Oh, that's helpful.
Every time you push the button, you're going to jump to a different point in the past or future. But once you've been to that point, you can never go back to that period again. And once you've time traveled, you can never go home. So
quantum leap.
you're stuck jumping around until you discover a place that you'd like to live for the rest of your life.
Oh, man.
But once you get out of it,
Right.
you can't go back there. And I'm
Okay.
going to say it's not just like that 1 year and you could go to like 66.1 million.
Sure,
Like
sure.
we're going to think about it as
General
genres
zones here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Genres. Yeah. Zones is probably better than genres. I don't think time works in genres. So my question for you is, you're in dinosaur times.
Yeah.
Would you risk it and push the button again, knowing that you're in dinosaur times now and you could stay there forever, or you could go somewhere that might be more Sean friendly?
Do I have to make the decision right away? Like, do I arrive, realize, oh, dinosaur times and I have to go? Is that how it is?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I would totally spend like a week in dinosaur time, but I would get lonely. So I'm gonna risk it and hit that button. After a quick look around, be like, oh, hey, this is actually how they move and what they look like.
Yeah, get some documentation
Right.
first.
Right. Yeah.
Can we just, for our purposes, be more specific? How much time does he have to make his decision each time?
The iWatch also has a rule that you get a day, maybe,
Okay.
to sort of explore
Right.
and figure out like what is the
Is this-
situation?
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it bad?
Oh,
Like,
that sounds perfect in dinosaur
And then,
times.
and then after a day, if
You
he
have-
hasn't pressed the button,
then you live there forever.
then he lives there forever.
I'm moving on. So cool to see the dinosaurs, but it's a nice place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there.
Got it.
Yeah, that
Got it.
meteor's coming.
Need some other humans.
You
maybe.
see a meteor in the distance.
This exact moment in dinosaur time of all the times.
Good choice to get out of there, I think.
Thank you. Yeah.
At that point. You push the button and you find yourself in 1953
Oh.
in New York City.
Mm.
So, and since you're new, you get to make whatever life is accessible to you, which, not to influence your decision, but as a straight white man,
Right. Good time to be a
Plenty of
straight white
you're
man.
gonna have a lot of
proto Mad Men kind of thing going on here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I could make some really good real estate investments at that point. Not that I'm after material wealth. I do love New York City.
Sean Draper. I just had to say it. That's all.
You know, I don't know that I could, because I think I would see a lot of that societal ugliness that we haven't entirely left behind, but I feel like we've made some progress on, and I don't know that I could be happy living in that context, knowing that there's only so much I could do as one person to make a difference about it. So I think it'd be cool to see what skyscrapers are there, which ones aren't. So I think I'm gonna move on along. I'm gonna spend my day taking a show and hit that button.
I'm going to say that you've been bopping around through the time stream for a few days.
Sure.
Like
okay.
several
Uh-huh.
like days worth of time.
Yeah.
So you've been in dinosaur times,
Right.
Mad Men times, Renaissance festival times.
not the Renaissance. But
Yeah, Renaissance festival.
Very
For
specific, yeah.
the first Renaissance festival. You end up in like modern times, like close to now.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how, but somehow you end up finding an article on Wikipedia that is it's like a conspiracy theory, flashback to our last episode, but it's about this man that keeps appearing in different time periods. And people are theorizing that he is some sort of mystical being. Yeah, we'll say there's a cult forming around it. That there's people that are like expecting him to come and they're like waiting for his return and there's like preparations being made for you to arrive. So yeah, like people have noticed you starting to show up in
Right.
different times and they were starting to wonder like,
Oh,
why is this
man.
guy playing fast and loose with the time continuum?
Okay, you were really tapping into my desire for fame and notoriety.
Okay.
Ooh, future
This
cult
is
leader.
right. I mean, this is kind of like I get to be taken for some sort of mystical being. That's exciting. I kind of want to. Yeah, I mean, okay, I want to see how this plays out. I'm sticking around for this one.
Did you clarify what time period it
Close
is?
to
Right
modern.
now, he was just like right
Near
around
present.
now, where
Yeah.
he was just like, "Oh, this is normal. It's kind of boring, so I'm just going to surf Wikipedia for
Right.
myself."
Right. And at this point, I have accumulated some actual knowledge. Like I have some historical insights that are super valuable, assumedly. I know how dinosaurs actually move.
So you're thinking of not pushing the button.
Right.
I'm considering sticking around for this
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The sun starts to set, and you're like, you know what? Maybe this is it.
Right. And it's familiar. I mean, honestly, all this travel is fun, but eventually you kind of want to go home and sleep in a familiar bed with, in a world with toilet paper.
With 200 people who worship you.
Right.
Yeah. So the people that participate in your cult, which is Sean's Salon, maybe, I don't know. They sort of like get together and talk intellectually with each other, and they call it a salon.
Great.
It's a
Classy.
stretch, but
Something
it
I
kinda
brought back with me
rhymes.
from the
Yeah.
1800s.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
great.
You were like, also, let's do this now. They've decided that time is malleable and that you can just sort of jump around, and you have proven this.
Right.
And therefore, they have decided that ethics do not exist because there is no permanent action.
Ruh-roh.
And so they're just doing it all. Plenty of crimes that
Yeah.
are fun, like bank robbing and
So
holding
fun.
up stores and like murdering people.
Oh, wow.
But also crimes that are like really, really disturbing and nasty that I'm just going to let you picture, giving into their basest of desires.
Oh,
and
man.
they, of course, they thank you in prayer after doing all these
Right.
things. So it's becoming a bit public that perhaps while you are not saying, yes, my children, go
Right.
and do these things, they're being done in your name. Your name is being
Okay.
taken in vain, so to speak.
Oh man. See, here's my trouble though. I feel like me jumping in time again is not going to make this better.
No, it's not.
They're still going to be doing this, and maybe even more so.
Because you will have proven that you can travel.
See,
in time.
exactly. Yeah, like, oh, we were right. So no, I mean, I feel like I need to stick this out and do what I can to mitigate this. Provide them with some sort of misdirection or something that, I mean, I kind of feel like I need to own it, though I have a feeling that that's not going to be a lot of fun. So I think, at least as things stand, I feel like I need to
stick around.
stay on point. Yeah.
Yeah. Stay
And at
on
least, so somebody is yelling and decrying, like, no, wait, hold on. Just because time is malleable doesn't mean that nothing matters, you nihilist nutbags.
You decide you're going to stay. You're still leaning towards
Yeah.
stay.
Yeah.
You do want to do something to stop this. So you are able to find on the internet the contact information of the people who seem to be like the top of the cult.
Okay.
The people who are really proliferating the messages
Sure, the Tom
and
Cruise.
encouraging.
Okay.
Yes, the Tom
All
Cruise. Actually, let's just say it is Tom Cruise. He threw over Scientology.
All right.
It wasn't as exciting anymore once he learned that there was Sean Salon.
Seanology,
yeah, Seanology. You are able to reach out to him and you call him and you say, "This is Sean," and he's like, "I knew this day would come. I'm so excited. This is the best. I'm so pumped. I'm Tom Cruise, and I'm still so excited about this." And then you say, like, "Look, we have to stop this. This is not the meaning of my being able to time travel. Does not mean that nothing matters. Like, this is awful." And he said, "I knew you would say that. I'm so excited for this day because what we know is that when you stay in one place for more than 24 hours, the real purge begins."
The real purge.
What we need to do is kill everybody who doesn't believe.
Wow.
The real purge.
Not the movie
too far?
Purge.
No.
Is it too extreme?
No.
Okay.
It's
Yikes.
great.
Oh, man. And what I really love and loathe about this is all happening within 24 hours.
Yeah,
like,
this
I've
is
arrived, I have a cult,
whole
I've
day.
talked to Tom Cruise, told him to stop jumping on his couch. And
And he was like, "I'm going to do more than that, baby."
right. And oh, man. Well, no. Yep. All of a sudden, the moral balance is shifted here. I got to get the heck out of Dodge. I can't have them killing everybody. So I'm moving on along.
As you're about to push the button on your time machine, we'll say it looks like a microwave. Actually, it's just a microwave.
It is a microwave.
There suddenly a big flash of light comes and a version of you comes out of the flash of light, and it's a cyborg version of you, but you're like war torn, and like one of your eyes is replaced with a
Little
laser.
sparks flying out.
But I mean, it looks cool, but also like you do
Right.
not look good. Like and so cyborg Sean is like, "You can't push that button. Trust me, things get so much worse if you try to leave. You just have to stay here." Go with your instinct to try to fix things, because I can't explain now because because I can't. But you just you have to trust me that things are going to be so much worse if you try to fix them.
This is getting tough because, like, he's only seen what happens if I do leave. He doesn't see what happens if I stay. And so he's being all grass is greener, like, no, things are definitely worse if you leave. But he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
No.
He doesn't know any better than I do. He only knows. Oh, man. But he is a cool cyborg, but he's an emotionally scarred cyborg.
Yep. There are a lot of emotional and physical scars.
Yeah,
too.
from the operations to become a cyborg.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And from
no, that's gotta be rough.
clumsiness too.
Yeah, he's just run into a lot of
I mean,
bookcases.
yeah, it's only going to get worse. I'm already clumsy. This is not gonna help my dance skills none. I don't know. I feel like we may have hit my equilibrium point here because I'm feeling a little paralyzed. There's no. I mean, ultimately, no. You know what? Just the sheer fact that I know what's going to happen if I stay, and I don't know what happens if I go. I'm going to go, and I'm going to try to make whatever happened to Cyborg Sean not happen, which will inevitably lead to it happening for exactly the reasons I've interfered.
There's no future but what we make. So there you go.
You can't not go because you're there.
Oh, damn.
Whoa. Oh my God. Cool.
It's like you knew what I was going to do before I did it because I had to.
Wow.
Oh, time.
Let's time travel into the future to our next segment, which is a little one we like to call If I Were You. Just we talk about things that we like that could be about the theme of the episode or just things that you want to talk about real quick. I'll go first. If I were you, I would watch a movie called The Endless from a couple guys that have made a few really cool small sci-fi horror movies. They made one called Spring. Anyway, The Endless is cool. It's about these guys who escaped a cult long ago and they go back to it, and there's a lot of mysterious things involving time, but I will say no more because it's better to investigate. But it's a really cool, low-budget science fiction kind of horror-y movie with a lot of really cool ideas.
Oh, man.
And recommended for people that are into such things.
Low-budget time travel movies in general. I mean,
yes.
strong recommend there.
Speaking of, if I were you, and you're having a day where you're like, I'm smarter than everything. You know, one of those days where you're like, nothing stumps me anymore. just go queue up the movie Primer.
Yep.
Which is another low budget
Yeah.
sci-fi time travel movie, and you'll be like, oh yeah, never mind, I'm not smarter than everything. This movie makes
So much smarter than me.
It maybe makes a sense, but it's not one that I can grasp. It's a great movie. It's really surreal and confusing, and they do a good job of simulating conversations that actual people would have about situations, and not that they would have for an audience.
Yeah.
But they're just having like people in a room. It's great. Check it out.
Well, if I were you, we talked about this one already a little bit at the top of the show, but I would strongly recommend picking up the book, The Time Traveler's Almanac by Anne and Jeff Vandermeer. It is an anthology of time travel fiction, dating all the way back to, like, I think they have an excerpt from The Time Machine, maybe Rip Van Winkle in there, but all the way up to contemporary fiction. And so it's so many different versions of time travel, 90% of which basically amount to, it's not going to be as good as you think it's going to be. But some just really beautiful, fascinating stories. Given that one's already come up, I'm also going to toss out a recommendation for an oldie but a goodie, The Time Traveler's Wife, the novel. Which,
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah, one of the few books that has ever just had me in tears finishing it. Beautiful story. A woman who marries a man who involuntarily travels through time. And so she's living chronologically successively, and his timeline is all over the map. And the way they intersect with each other it knocks me out. It's a great book.
It is. It's like a really good romance.
Yeah.
That isn't really it's not like a pulpy romance novel, but it's
Right.
like one of the most romantic books that I've read that is just sort of a weird fiction concept.
Beautiful and heartbreaking and all of those wonderful things.
Okay, I'm also going to recommend a book, and it's not really about time travel, but I just finished it, and it was really devastating. So I'm going to say the caveat to this is, if you are needing something light, this isn't the one for you.
Be
But
free.
it's not. I mean, it's a fairly easy read. It's just like very emotionally heavy. It's called Sing Unburied Sing by Jessamine Ward. It is about a family, and it takes place in current day. It's like 3 generations. It's a couple that have grandchildren, their daughter, and then her son. Mainly told from the daughter and her son, their perspectives. But there's an element of ghosts from their past. It's kind of about how time and history of a specific family, but also of like race in America can repeat and can influence, and like, how do people get out of those cycles and patterns, and is there a solution to that pain, or is it just like, do we all have to like carry it throughout generations? Really beautiful, really sad also though, so remember that. But I think if you're in the mood for something that is about America and race and history and time and family, it's a good one.
Love all those things.
If we were you.
Here's the thing. If you would like to find us on the internet, you can. Here's how. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. You can email us, hypotheticast@gmail.com, or go to our website, hypotheticast.club. Those are all places where you can listen, reach out, comment, like, interact, love.
You can also review us on iTunes or any podcast app that you happen to listen to. We appreciate reviews. It helps push us up those charts. It also helps if you tell other people about us, because that's a great way for other people to find out about the Hypotheticast.
Thanks to Jaden James and The Hunger for the use of their song Killin' It off their album Raw. And thanks to Christian Hagen for the logo. Thank you to you, the listener, for submitting like a lot of questions and a lot of really good questions. Thank you so much for listening and submitting and being real cool. Sean, do you have anything that you want to plug?
The one thing I've got coming up, I am a part of an Agatha Christie mystery improv show.
Shut up.
That is
Nice, you're in
performing
that.
here. Yeah, that is performing here in Minneapolis at the Bryant Lake Bowl come October. So if you happen to be local, check that site. Come check it out. We are performing like a full-length Agatha Christie mystery made up on the spot every week.
I'm so obsessed with that.
It's going to be so much fun.
We have one more little segment, and Sean's in charge of that one too.
Okay.
It's called No Questions Asked, and it means that you ask one question and we all answer, and no more can be said.
Okay, let's go with this one from Becky Wilkinson Hauser. Would you rather know the time of your death, which cannot be changed once learned, or live eternally in an endless time loop?
Time of my death.
Time of my death.
Time loop.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye. We love you.
I'm marching, marching. 'Cause I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm killing it.
Okay, I'm just gonna really quick say the fan art that I hope comes out of this. So Sean's in the middle, and he looks like a cool time traveling dude. He has his time traveling microwave tucked under his arm, and he's probably wearing like some
With all the
eccentric
rules on the
coat
front.
because that's
Sure.
what time travelers do.
Right.
Yeah.
And then David is a dinosaur, and then I'm a oppressed 1950s lady, and then Mike is Sean as Cyborg.
Mike is Sean.
Yeah, and we're all
Cyborg
standing
Sean.
around you.